Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Greg. And this is the Greater Than Golf podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Greater Than Golf podcast. I'm Greg Ferrouillet and I'm here with my buddy John Beck. We're excited to have you back with us. If this is your first time here, welcome. Greater Than Golf is about experiencing the fullness of life and experiencing the fullness of life through a transformative mindset, through intentional practice, and through adventurous play in a lot of different ways.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm looking forward to.
The adventurous play part.
Yeah.
For sure. And so one of the things that we were talking about last time was mindset. Greater Than Golf has 3 pillars: mindset, practice, and play.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we were talking about mindset, and John.
Yeah. We went through a good bit of what we think a good aspect of mindset is, which is kind of the filtering through and seeing what your kind of self-beliefs are. What maybe things you've taken on that could or could not be true about you, and kind of polishing that off and filtering through and seeing if there's things that we need to get rid of that we're carrying. So I kind of put Greg through on the spot in that one and put him through a bit of a ringer on some really old actually, something that happened when you're really young.
Yeah, in all honesty, it sort of surprised me where we went there, but what it did was expose how we think about approaching different parts, including how we play or how we engage with others, and especially within our own game.
Yeah, and that had been, and it still is. I played with you afterwards. I didn't cure you.
That was the question, right? It was like, well,
now that I know this, is it going to be better?
If there's one thing, by the way, if there is one thing that was better, is the way my mindset around it is structured around. I think this is the beautiful thing about it, is really there was a moment in which I trust you to bring that about when we're playing, right? So that you can be able to witness or see what's happening while we're playing and be able to, quite frankly, call me out on it.
Yeah.
And
with care,
right? And that's part of it. The relationship is that I trust you with it.
Yeah.
And that when I receive that, I become more aware of it. The thing that's interesting, what I feel around that mindset, is when that did come up when we were playing, is the anxiety or that heart anxiety that you get around some of those issues. It might not have cured it, but a significant reduction in I'm okay.
Oh.
I'm okay with where I am.
Well, that's good. It calmed a little bit of the internal, I don't know, maybe it's a biochemical response that comes up online,
right?
That causes your body or sends your mentality to a certain place. So it calmed that.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So
there is change.
There is change. So go check out that previous episode.
Yeah.
There's a little story in there about
it's pretty gold. It's towards the end of it too. So if we, you can fast forward if you need to that part, but there's some really good meat in that episode, I feel like.
Yeah. But a quick summary is just having an experience that we all have when we were kids, as we're developing structures really around how we handle stress or performance or those kinds of things. For me, it was on a baseball field during 5th, 6th grade time and whatever. But anyways, it's...
and you took something on that wasn't yours really to take on
in
that period of time.
And it has developed or shown in my short game, especially right around 10 to 15 yards, maybe 20 yards or less around the green, that those issues seem to surface up. It's fascinating to
Yeah.
me to think about how that has affected my game. I think a lot of people would say, "Well, just get over it," but it's more than that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
today we're talking more on the line of practice, the next piece of the puzzle. I
right.
mean, there's way more to talk about mindset, and we will in future episodes, but we are going to keep this cadence
Yeah,
of practice or mindset, practice, and then play.
and play.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe to pass over to you to explain, or to maybe we can talk through a little bit more of
hmm
how we view this this subject of practice and more abroad, and then we'll kind of bring it in.
Yeah. So mindset is again around how we approach the way that we're coming into certain things. Practice is about the things that we do in order to move towards a particular outcome, I suppose is one way to put it.
Yeah.
There are multiple types of practices. When we think of practices, um, or practice, you could think of what are the practices. So there are types of practices. You could even think about the spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, silence and solitude.
Yeah. And
Uh,
admittedly, before coming over here, like in this last thinking about this, like I'd went to the gym with a buddy. I'd run. I would went to the golf course and did
yeah,
like a few different types of practice at the golf course,
right.
but I wasn't thinking about those.
Yeah,
So when you said that, it did bring me. Oh, like this can this is not just going and going to the driving range and doing some drills.
yeah. And I think that's an important part that we want to share,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is how is it that it's more than just a drill. Practice is more than
Yeah.
just executing on a drill or having something that we picked up on YouTube or a book
Yeah, I think
or
we were raised. If we played sports growing up, you
yeah.
went to practice,
hmm
to like basketball practice or baseball practice or
Yeah.
whatever, and that's just where you went to do those things.
Yes.
Um, we're to think of this maybe in a little more adult way
Yeah.
of the practices that we do intentionally in hopes of getting certain outcomes in different places in our life, not
Yeah.
maybe not just on the golf course.
hmm
Um, and you had mentioned earlier, it's like, okay, well, if you want to love your wife well, or you want to love your kids well,
Yeah.
what what would you do?
hmm
Like you have a desire
hmm
to get a certain outcome at something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not a mechanical kind of process
Mm-hmm.
either, right?
Yeah.
It's the way that we are seeking to weave a practice with a mindset with play revolves in many ways what we'll get to in this book by Jim Murphy in Inner Excellence. We'll read a quote from that. Hopefully, be able to get to there. But practice is around how we get towards three other things, which I think is love, wisdom, and courage.
Mm.
How do those kinds of things develop within ourselves? How do we love well? How do we receive love well? How are we loved well? I
Mm.
think is an important part too. But then it's also how do we develop courage? How do we develop wisdom? How do we also share our wisdom? How do we be able to show others courage? Because really, the intent ultimately is by loving others, we can encourage others.
Hmm.
But the way that we get there, how we get there, is through a set of practices.
Yeah, and I think I think I would add one more thing on it. And it might be part of those three or an outcome of those three.
Yeah.
But one thing I think of is presence, or just being able to be fully present and embodied
Yeah.
within whatever we're doing.
hmm
That lends to joy, but it also lends to the technical term would be automaticity. Would be if you're just being able to be present and let's just bring it back to golf and swing a
Yeah.
golf club and not be
hmm
able to have to think about how to swing it
Yeah.
or the mechanics behind it.
Yeah.
it takes a certain amount of doing something or repeatedly, intentionally,
Mm,
to get to that point of being able to just be fully present and do what you're doing
yeah.
in and have the intended outcome
Yeah.
be what it is. So being able to just be fully present, exactly how you are,
Hmm.
in a whatever situation comes up,
Yeah.
and I don't want to necessarily say perform, but it is somewhat perform.
Sure.
Um, uh, the thing you're trying to do,
Yeah.
fully embodied.
Yeah. So you mentioned developing this automaticity. Is
Hmm.
that a word?
That is not. That is a word.
Those are big.
That is a word.
Those big words
It's a
for
big word.
us. Automaticity. I had to figure out how to say that correctly.
Yes.
Uh,
Think of automatic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing where you don't have to think about it because it has become a regular part of your life.
Hmm.
It's whether it's something from developing a new habit. Is that what you would talk about? Or feels like
It
it's
can
something
be.
more than
It
that.
can be developing a habit. Like when we were talking, I just mentioned like how do you love your wife well,
Yeah.
uh, and we call it. It's funny that we do call this way. We call it practicing
Yeah.
intentional delight,
Mm,
intentionally practicing delight. Another way to word it.
yeah.
So when I first walk in the house, or like we have an agreement, we had an agreement, and sometimes we still have to remake that agreement.
Okay.
Um, but after a while, it becomes automatic. Is first couple of minutes we give each other the first couple of minutes of the day,
Yeah.
and the first couple of minutes when we see each other after coming home from work or something like that,
Yeah.
and just delight in one another, and that can look like um, just smile and greet and hug
Yeah.
and give a kiss or whatever it
Uh-huh.
is. Um, but that is a way to
Yeah.
practice
Yeah.
loving my wife well, and then I can bring that to my kids and I can bring that to my workplace. And actually, the fruit of it is actually really great.
Yeah.
The practicing that over and over and over again creates something. It creates a dynamic
Mm-hmm.
that then seems to become automatic and take care of herself. She doesn't have to worry that
Yeah.
I'm happy to see her or whatever it is. I
Mm,
don't have to worry that if she's happy to see me.
yeah.
It just we just know it at some point.
Would you say that it also requires you to do some things that you're bringing in?
Oh, I have to sometimes I have to sit in my truck for a few minutes before I walk in the
Okay.
door and
Yeah.
shed the whatever is happening at work or
Yeah.
whatever. It could be what's happening
Yeah.
at home.
Sure.
It could be something that somebody didn't do or whatever it is. I just have to
Yeah.
be like intentionally like maybe breathe. And it's interesting now that like
Yeah.
we take that from that to that. The practice of breathing is
Mm,
huge in the golf world or anywhere else you're
yeah.
being is as a way to maintain presence within hard
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah. So that's what I hope we get into are some of the subtleties of what a practice is. There are physical practices
Hmm.
around a drill that you might
Yeah.
be doing on the golf course, at the driving range, on whatever it is. There are the practices that are, uh, there's the spiritual practices, but then there are the practices around that are very physical around just our own bodies and how we move. Could be a
Hmm.
workout or breathing or those kinds of things. Uh, and there are the practices that we seek for automaticity.
Yes. Uh,
Automaticity.
yes.
Yeah. But that the idea that something becomes automatic. It's something that you don't necessarily think about. It's the habits that occur. I was reading an article, and I wish I could remember where it came from earlier today, around how sometimes what we get into in order to move towards success is having that awareness of where we are, but being able to change our physical environments
Hmm.
uh, in order for new putting new layers or new types of automatic kinds of things to layer them in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do we long for? It's kind of like whether it's working out. If you were getting ready to go for a run, there are certain fundamentals. I think that's the word that I wanted to kind of
Mm.
bring into
Yeah.
practice, where was around fundamentals and uh, how even at the professional level,
Yeah.
these people are still returning to practice the core fundamentals. It might be
Totally.
automatic, but what you mentioned was around having an awareness, that being present to not just go out and start trying to crush high swing speed
Yeah.
your driver, but returning back to some of the core fundamentals of the swing.
Yeah. They're, I mean, always
Yeah.
back to the fundamentals. And even though you think something, you do something enough that becomes automatic or whatnot, and you think you have it all together, I think there's anti-practice too. Or,
Oh yeah.
in other words, there's things that make their way in
Yeah.
to our behavior or what we're doing, or whether it's physical, mental,
Mm-hmm.
that are almost like the opposite. And it's really hard to tell when they're making their way
Yeah.
in a way. So that's where the intentionality around what we're doing in practice
Yeah.
is important, because we could be practicing kind of the wrong thing too
True.
without even knowing it.
Yeah. I and that gets to a little bit of what we were talking about, when I can have some awareness about what I think that I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
or what I feel like I'm doing, but until somebody else comes along, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience with it, whether it's with a coach or somebody else,
Yeah.
and the coach says, "Here, try doing this. This is what it should feel like." And in your head you're thinking, "But that's what I am doing.
Yeah.
I am doing that."
Right.
And then the coach comes, and I was watching Dan Greaves, who does some short game drills
Oh, YouTube.
on
Yeah.
YouTube. Dan Greaves,
Mm-hmm.
what are they? The 3 releases for a short game, and in an effort to attempt, what do I need to do for my short game?
You were seeking.
Seeking.
You're seeking.
But Dan Greaves goes to, and what's interesting in his YouTube channel, uh, he'll have soccer stars and other kinds of people come and do some work with them.
Yeah.
What's interesting though is he'll watch them, but then he will eventually in the process get right behind them.
Like
And I
physically.
can imagine how, in
Yeah.
some ways, how awkward this would feel,
Mm-hmm.
where he will get right behind you and he puts his hand on
The hip or
the
whatever
hip
it
and the
is.
elbow. I mean, literally, he's like hugging you from behind and then saying, "Move this way. When you do this, you move this way."
Mm-hmm.
And people, you can see they're resistant
Yeah.
until you allow yourself to be moved into that position, and then your body can begin to have that awareness about what is it supposed to feel like versus what I think it feels like.
Yeah. You obviously hadn't had a golf lesson from me yet, Greg.
No.
I'm hands-on.
Are you hands-on?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
If it needs to be. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go on the course. You could
friendly.
put your hands on
Put
me.
my hand up on your hip. But yeah, I think, and that's the direction where you're going, is as we get into this practice a little bit more, is the importance of an outside, like you can watch a YouTube video and
Yeah.
sometimes it can work and sometimes it doesn't, but there is sometimes a gap in awareness.
Yeah.
And even on a video of yourself, if you watch it back, it's sometimes hard to really get it. So
Yeah.
it is important to have a trusted golf buddy or coach or whatnot to give you a little feedback.
Absolutely.
And that's on the course, but there's also in life,
yeah,
the same thing goes.
Yeah.
Community is key.
Yeah.
Somebody that you can say anybody and doesn't anything to, and they can see you, or you can be in your purest form around them in authentic state.
Yeah.
Right. is really important.
Yeah.
And then to have some humility and uh, realize that you don't know everything and that you might be having some things go on or letting some things occur or
Mm,
happen, like bad practice
right.
could be making their way. Good bad practices could be making their way in and could be self reinforcing themselves into
Yeah.
your life or your game.
Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit earlier before we were recording was bad practices.
Mm-hmm.
You want to?
Oh my, I see it all the time. I mean, I can't help it when I'm on the range
Mm,
watching, and I'm tempted. I know it's not my place most of the time to say anything
yeah.
or to help somebody out with just their setup or their grip.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, people go out all the time and definitely uh, do their best
Sure.
at hitting a golf ball or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can see physical limitations. You can
Mm-hmm.
see setup errors and or grip or whatever it is. There's a million things that can go wrong in a golf swing.
Sure.
A million things.
Yeah.
Um,
It's style.
it's not style. There's so many fundamentals that just that need to be in place,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it does take sometimes an outside perspective
Yeah.
to give you that.
Absolutely.
Right. And drills that actually, and there can be, like, YouTube can be really helpful in seeing somebody else do it, maybe use a video camera, see yourself do it.
Yeah.
And then there are some essential, like maybe drills
Right.
that can really come in handy.
Yeah.
Like there's just a few real like fundamental factors, like impact position
Mm,
is one of them.
mm-hmm.
Like your body's positioned at impact and the club face is positioned at impact
Yeah.
are this like the right. There's only one real correct in a way. Like the way you get there,
Sure.
a lot of different ways to get there.
Yeah.
But if you look at the pros and you look at the a square face at impact
Yeah.
and the ball in the middle of the club face
Yeah.
is huge, and then your body's in a certain position at that point in time to make that happen.
So that's what's interesting to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like practice is about discovering how to make that happen.
To make that happen.
What is the you mentioned humility. So what is the if we were to talk about mindset but then pull that into practice, practicing humility
Yeah.
to get
Well, there's definitely some. It almost sounds childish when when I play it back in my head,
mm,
but like when I'm coaching or when I'm and I'm trying to change somebody's grip
mhm,
to like there's a lot of different grips, right? People grip the club in a lot of different ways,
uh-huh,
but there's a few fundamental agreed upon grips.
yeah,
Most people are like, well, that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right.
yeah,
And so they change. Their tendency is to change back, to go
okay,
back to where they once were,
right,
which wasn't working for them. I wouldn't change their grip if it was working for them,
sure,
right?
yeah,
I'm not going to watch you hit a golf ball perfectly and say we should change your grip.
yeah,
I'm probably going to watch you hit about 50 golf balls terribly and be like, we should really change your grip.
yeah,
And then to commit to that,
yeah,
what our changes, and know it as part of the process
mm-hmm,
to get to a desired point,
yeah,
and to re-grip that way over and over and over again and commit to that
mm,
until it feels natural again.
yeah,
And most time in the meantime, you won't really be getting the desired results
yeah,
still.
yeah,
Right. There'll be
mm-hmm,
lack of evidence until it becomes more natural. So there's some trust in there too.
yeah,
But there is some humility in there of
yeah,
like, oh, I didn't really know how to grip the golf club. And
right,
this person who I trust and hopefully is a professional or, really
yeah,
maybe you got it online. I'm not really sure.
mm-hmm,
Like Podrick Harrington, I'd trust him.
Sure.
He has some YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That's where when I last changed my grip,
Yeah.
it was from Padraig
Padre.
Harrington
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
So, um, I'd say trusted source. Tried it.
Yeah.
Felt weird. Felt
Sure.
weird. Felt weird. A little bit easier for me to change
Yeah.
because it wasn't like a monumental change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but committed to it
Yeah.
and now return to it over and over again.
We talked about that too, as going again back to automaticity,
Mm-hmm.
is around making small changes in order to layer on some success for what it is that you make improvements, and where you can find success is by being able to make small changes that become eventually habits. Could be a golf grip.
Yeah.
When you have some discovery, could be the way that we train our bodies,
Yeah.
work out, how you execute, but those should
Yeah.
be layered upon a set of fundamentals, it seems like. And if you're in a spot, the humility it takes to say, this, I desire some improvement, but where is it that I need to go? It's almost like sometimes returning to fundamentals. And you could say, well, your grip is that a fundamental to the golf game?
Yes, I'd say so.
Yeah.
It is the connection between you and the club.
Right.
And there's, I don't know if there's many other things that have that much of an impact actually.
Yeah.
On the actual outcome. Besides, I mean, there are different instances, right? Everybody's body's different. Your body wants to swing in a natural way. There are certain things about your body that want to
Sure.
that are lend to the golf swing, and certain things that don't.
Yeah.
Like there's only certain part of your bodies that move in an arc, like the golf swing.
True. Yeah.
You can try to get everything else to move in an arc, but it isn't really built for it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So another time,
right,
on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think returning to fundamentals is huge. For practice, having trusted people, is huge.
Yeah.
For the fundamentals within practice, and this is golf. This is life.
Yeah.
Right. And we can. YouTube is talking about YouTube. YouTube is great for some things.
Sure.
There's too much information, and too much information that's not very specific to any one individual.
Yeah.
You're watching somebody give somebody else a lesson.
Yeah.
Or there's some drills that are out there that are really great from YouTube, but there's a lot that aren't too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's an expert.
True.
Yeah. Self-proclaimed. I say that humble in a little way of I could be called the same thing.
Sure. If you because you've had clients.
Yeah.
And you've coached.
I've coached. I've taught people how to swing golf club. With some success, some not. Not everybody, not everybody has the commitment level that it takes to get better, to get good at golf. But yeah, so yeah, I say it with humility. Find a trusted somebody to help you know what to practice. A lot of times it is good.
Yeah. So there's something I want to read out of Jim Murphy's book, Inner Excellence. If you haven't read it, go check it out.
Yeah.
Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. You've actually gotten to play golf with Jim, right?
I mean, Jim Murphy might call me his golf coach.
Oh, okay. Just saying. There you go.
He's a mentality coach to PGA professionals. And
yeah,
at one point I have played some golf with Jim.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's why I have yet to have the experience to meet Jim, but I've read the book once. I read it again. I read it a third time, so it has some wear on it.
I think I've put mine through about 5 run throughs.
That's right. So I've got a few more to catch up with. So there's a lot of really great things, and in some ways, much of what we're doing for Greater Than Golf is emulates or is inspired by inner excellence and experiencing the fullness of life through an inner excellence mindset and what is being shared.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's definitely Jim definitely has a good amount of influence within my mentality around all this.
for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to share. There's something I want to read out of inner excellence. Yeah, and it's in this section around describing courage specifically. There are three primary areas that he talks about: love, wisdom, and courage, and how we seek those things in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And in the section around courage, it's interesting. He talks about courage. The subtitle is about being fully present. And there is, in the context of practice, I think he describes a couple of four daily process goals is what he calls them. And so I'm going to read this little section, and you tell me what your thoughts are here, because you've been in it quite a bit. So courage is gained by setting key process goals you can control so you can improve and be successful every day, rather than obsessing about the result or having your best performance. Redefine success by focusing on the process of daily improvement. At the end of the day, ask yourself how you did with these four process goals. The first one is give my best, so 100% of what you have today. Number 2, be present. 3, be grateful. And 4, focus on my routines and only what I can control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sounds like if I could do that every day, and through everything I was doing, that I would, not get myself into some trouble in some areas, and have a really good outlook, like a peaceful outlook on, and a grateful outlook throughout everything I'm doing. Right.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, the challenge to be 100% present in everything you do, I think, is a lot harder than it sounds.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many things come along or come at you, or frustrations bubble up in whatever different area, that kind of take you out of what you're doing.
Yeah, you like eject yourself out of these places and find yourself in chaos and mayhem.
Yeah, which I find myself in either withdraw, like shrink away. I'm just gonna disengage and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or the other place I'd find myself is like the equivalent of throwing a golf club. Like wanting to throw the clubs in the lake.
Yeah.
Type of thing, and really take myself out of the game. And almost, and the result of that usually is shame. Like I feel then like I'm like over it, break my 5-iron over the whatever it is. And what do I feel then? Or yell at my kids or whatever, get snappy with somebody.
Yeah.
And then again, like I find myself over engaged and then under engaged.
Yeah.
Tail between the legs.
Yeah.
In a way.
And then you're having to mop up what comes after.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting in your truck before you have that conversation with Marie before you walk in the door.
Yeah, apologizing usually is the result of being outside of these things.
Yeah.
On the golf course, that might look a little different.
Sure.
Because a shot, is a little less consequential sometimes than maybe some of the other stuff.
Yeah. What's interesting about this quote is around redefining success by focusing on the process. On the process of daily improvements rather than the actual outcome. So I think what is interesting is if I think about my my handicap
Mm-hmm.
or even a score at a course or something like that. So if I think, well, what what is my goal? What is my objective? It's like, well, I want to get my handicap below 10,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to get single digit handicap.
Okay.
So what's it's not that I don't it's not that that's a bad thing to do, is to set goals or have a desired outcome. I What I wonder about is, what do I put into place? What do I begin to practice
Mm-hmm.
in this context in order to get there?
Yeah.
Right? And that's the part that I focus on. And if I'm focusing on these daily process goals, is thinking about, almost, if I unpeel the layer, if I try to discover what are the layers that are leading to where I'm at right now
Mm-hmm.
and how to get to single digit handicap, not scratch or anything.
Yeah.
Let's just knock down a few
Yeah.
off the handicap. Then there's some process. What is, in some ways, what does the data show? I
Yeah.
think there's importance in what are the outcomes where we're at, and can we see what's there so that you can get to, is it my grip? Is it the yips and the
Yeah.
place around the
So here,
green?
here's how I
So
want to kind of
that's what I want to get to. And what do I
kind
practice?
of want to wrap this a little bit, and
Yeah,
and kind of going back to like, okay, around the green, 15 yards.
sure.
Um, I'm guessing you practiced that this last week.
Yeah.
And went out to the chipping green,
Hmm.
and probably just hit a bunch of them.
Well, you hit a bunch of them. However,
Mm-hmm.
there are, people might call them, you have swing thoughts, or
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thinking. In my mind, it's sometimes my brain, and I know that even in my body, how it gets realized, it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's too much going on. I
Yeah.
need to focus on one thing,
Mm-hmm.
one thing.
I'm
and
wondering if you
and
actually just like, did you, or could you, or what should you
uh-huh.
just go out? Because I know you have the fundamental swing.
Hmm.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Like
it's
your
there.
body knows what to do. I've
Yeah,
seen you do it a couple times.
yeah.
But then I've seen it go
Hmm.
wrong, and usually the wrong is like this. It's a dysfunction
Right.
in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
uh, a malfunction within. It goes beyond your physical into your subconscious, and then you're like,
yeah.
there's a whole mix of what happens within that, and
Which I think, if we were being humble for all of us,
yeah,
there's a degree of
there's
that
something in there. Yeah,
always.
because the
Yeah.
swing's there.
Oh yeah.
But there it doesn't always go right.
Right.
And usually there's like a misfire
Oh
somewhere
yeah.
with it that causes tightness within muscles, or weakness within muscles
Yeah.
that are needed for that
Yeah.
task, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, and we get into he's talking about just the process, and I'm wondering if you just need to reestablish the exact routine that you need to do every single time that you take a shot,
Yeah.
especially around the green. It has to be.
Hmm.
I mean, there's on the green, around the green. The pros drive us nuts almost watching them with their routines
Right.
that they go through.
Yeah.
Um, they're doing it for millions of dollars, so ours should be maybe a little bit shorter than theirs. Uh,
Sure.
but I wonder if just pay attention to the process, or 100% of what the
Hmm.
process is,
Yeah.
and reestablishing that, and then just practicing the process over and over again,
Yeah.
like reenacting, like you're on the, it's just
Hmm.
reenactment, and trying to create a new story, right?
Yeah.
Old story, new story.
Yeah.
Want to leave the old story behind. New story, brand new process. You're gonna figure it out, and
Hmm.
then commit to it, and then practice that over and over again, and that's what you focus on.
So you're describing that once you define essentially a goal, there are many things that we could practice to get to that goal,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the thing that I'm wondering about in our little conversation here is around what to practice.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I know that this is where uh, I'm losing strokes.
Yes.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
It's like I know.
Not every time. Let's
Well,
let's
true.
don't
That's
change
true.
our language. We
All
have
right.
hit these well
Yes, it's
before.
not every time. Uh, it occurs. It happens,
It
and
is.
the score, the eventual outcome, and that's what I wanted to go back to here is around those 4 daily process goals that I think are interesting. And if we were to fold those into what it is that we just talked about,
Mm-hmm.
right? If creating these can get lived out by creating a structure. So that's what the question is about. Once I've decided you've decided what to practice,
Mm-hmm.
like here's a methodology, or here's the drill, or here's the thing, hopefully through a trusted source. I mean, we could talk about mentoring and wisdom and guidance and where we're learning these things from. Where do
Mm-hmm.
we learn these practices from?
Yeah.
Uh, but once that has been established, can I go into that in a way that is a regular rhythm?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a new story being established and
Yeah.
laid down, and that's something that is a part of the process, and enjoying that process and being present in that process and in that moment that's where my focus is. That's the giving the best 100%. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to put myself into.
Yeah. And if I could be so bold, you're like when this talked about being 100% committed to the routines and the process,
Yeah.
um, no matter the outcome.
Right.
And we were talking about presence being this is all like a little bit of a how can I be fully present.
Mm.
Um, when you have an occurrence
Mm-hmm.
of blade the shot around the green or whatever it is,
Right.
I'm guessing that takes you out of that,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. You
And
you have a moment.
yeah, which I've hit the
Oh
bad
yeah.
shit before,
Oh yeah.
but it doesn't send me spiraling, and one
Yeah.
doesn't turn into two or three,
Yeah.
um, because I don't like I'm not I'm
Mm-hmm.
just recommitting and then going through my routine
Mm-hmm.
and the motions and then hitting the shot.
Right.
It doesn't take me out of my ability to be present
Mm-hmm.
and still
Yeah.
execute the next shot.
Yeah.
I write it off as a fluke.
Right.
It
Mm-hmm.
happens
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because this game is hard.
Yes.
Um, versus the other outcome that possibly could be,
Right.
you
Yeah.
hit it and then all of a sudden you're like, where am I? Biochemical, like the biochemical response that takes place in your
Yeah.
body. We can talk about this another time, but like the play aspect and the cortisol flush
Oh
that
yeah.
happens, and all the different things that go on that almost make you physically unable to
Yeah.
swing golf club again.
Yeah.
Whether it's like it can be adrenaline
Yeah.
that like the heart starts racing, or it can be cortisol that the the blood drains from your body and all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
you can't feel your hands,
True.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All these are biochemical responses to like some sort of version of fight or flight,
Yeah.
not being present,
Yeah.
um, that like inhibit your ability to actually engage and recover
Yeah.
and go on and hit the next shot.
I think that's a wonderful thing about what hopefully being present to that, you have not only an emotional awareness, but you have an awareness of what your body is doing. That's all about being present. So
Mm-hmm.
you are present to what it is that's going on in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to have, I mean, that's another fundamental practice to layer on top of that. How do you practice being able to get yourself back in?
Yeah.
If you're
And
sent out of that,
yeah, and this is actually where drills and things aren't really helpful, except
right.
routines can be.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I'd say practicing, meaningful practice actually incorporates your routine that you'd be practicing on the course while you're playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So being at the chipping green, actually going through the process and making it, reinforcing that this is my routine, that this is what I do.
Yeah.
The fundamental good stroke should be in there, but it's only part of it.
Yeah.
Of what you're practicing. You're also practicing the other pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
That is the routine that you have in place that helps you stay present.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is a malfunction within whatever it is,
Yeah.
helps you get back into presence and recover.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing is, and not to get us spinning off here too far, because I think we can come back to this later, is around those when things go awry in the midst of that drill. You could call it failure, but is it really failure, or is it's more about being present and gaining feedback around what is it that's going on here?
It's opportunity.
It's opportunity. Yeah. To put it in that context. So, in order to kind of, I think, tie this up,
let's put a bow.
Is I love the idea around focusing on the things that you do have control over in that process. So what is the process, whether it's on the chipping green or it's the end of the day and you're getting ready to walk into the house. It's establishing a routine around working out. I really love the idea of so that, why do this drill? Why this process? So that there is a goal, there is an objective.
Yeah.
And if the goal and the objective is to continue to build love and wisdom and courage in our lives, so that we can experience the fullness of life by living in those things, totally worth it around these process goals. Around when I'm entering into a practice, I can give it my best. I can be present.
Yeah, which actually takes
intention. It takes practice, intentionality. There's a word we didn't bring to practice. Is just the intentionality of moving into a set of practice, and being grateful. Just the opportunity that it's there. Being grateful that, even just being able to play golf.
And I think that being grateful is a little bit is practicing gratitude. It's a mentality, like that's where we're kind of blending into the mentality into practice. Same as being present, blending mentality into practice. And then the last one about focusing on my routines and only what I can control. Realizing it goes back to one thing we talk about is realizing who I am in relationship to God. And there are certain things we can't control, and we have to be able to let them go. Oh, and it takes that degree of humility as well as courage. We have to let them go. Another golf life analogy. It's like as soon as that ball hits that club, like people say, like the finish is the most important part. I'm like, no, impact is the most important part, because once that happens, like so in life, it's like we tried to set ourselves up, we tried to do the right things, and we got through, and it's like, okay, what was my impact here? Like impact is, we might have the best of intentions behind something, but our pastor just said recently is like, you probably should actually, instead of your intentions and what you were thinking that was going to be the outcome of whatever it is, you probably really should pay attention to your impact. And even though your intentions were good, your impact might be like harmful. Or on the golf course, it's not necessarily harmful. It's just like
it has a result.
It's as a result, it might be out of bounds. And
that's
harmful to your score.
There is a measurable outcome, but that measurable outcome is a result of what it is that you do have control over, about being grateful and present, and those practices that you laid on. Continuing to practice and have an awareness of the fundamentals, not only on the golf course, but in our lives what the fundamental, maybe that's a good one. What is the fundamental of life?
Yeah.
That's
That's a much longer podcast than we have time for today, Greg.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We're glad you're here. We hope you continue to join us as we continue to wander and explore and long for experiencing the fullness of life through transformative mindsets, intentional practice, and adventurous play. I'm so excited that we can talk about adventurous play next time. So join us for the next one, because that's what we're getting into, is adventurous play.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.